going to start your meeting in a little bit. Y'all keep on eating barbecue. Back here for doing the food at Jack's Barbecue. Thank you, Greg. I always can count on you. And if anybody needs any barbecue, otherwise, y'all know where to go. 334 West Trinity Lane. Welcome, everybody. Hey, Jay, how you doing? All right, Jay Cawthon, Bill Munson just walked in. Hello, Bill. We got my friend Mac McDonald, my coach here, Nashville North and Northeast. Our councilman.
We got the hat.
Right, we got the hat. We're going to pass the hat around. We always give something to the Shriners. For meeting here, it goes to the Children's Hospital.
Thank you, Jack. Welcome, everybody. One of the things that we want to do this fall is tell you, first of all, that we're going to be meeting September now and October. But we're going to be taking November and December off because we got some other things that are going on during that period of time with the Shriners and other folks. So we're going to be skipping the last 2 months. We normally take December off, but this year we're going to do November and December. So mark your calendars that we're going to be meeting tonight and also in October. And we'll crank back up again in January. We'll keep everybody that's signed up on our email list current, and we'll make sure that you stay on our notification list. So make sure if your address has changed or if your phone number has changed, make sure that you sign and correct that list that's going around. One of the things that we typically do here is we ask for reports from people that either have businesses or live in certain areas that we normally claim as part of our footprint. And on your table, you'll recognize, if you've been here a while, that we have our brochures, the Nashville North by Northeast brochure, and we always talk about the components of our community. And if you look on the back, you can see the Brick Church Pike community, the Dickerson Pike community, the West Trinity Lane area that we're in right now, Calvin's Corner, Heaton Station. We're going to have a report on Heaton Station here in a little bit, and Katy Hill. I don't see Matt Strader here yet. But I do see former Councilman Melvin Black. Melvin, thanks for coming. Good to see you. All right. All right. Hello. All right, there we go. But one of the things that we will be talking about are things that number one, spin off of and are the result of, and hopefully are part of the realization of a lot of work that we all did last year to work very hard to amend the Nashville Next plan to incorporate this area, which runs between basically I-65 down Trinity Lane almost to Clarksville Highway, and covers a little over 1,200 acres of property on both sides of Trinity Lane, including all the way down to the Cumberland Riverfront. So if you haven't had the opportunity, always remember that you can go onto the Metro Planning Commission website and you can access the Nashville Next Plan, and it will take you to the Haynes Trinity Amendment. Now that's important because we spent a lot of time working on what we should do and could do to visualize the next 25 to 50 years of growth in this area, because we all know that Nashville is growing north. It's growing towards us. So in order for us to really have some guidelines for people who want to be here, who want to buy here, who want to build here, who want to create a business here, we have that particular tool now that people can go to, whether they live in Nashville or Timbuktu. And we're already having some out-of-town interest in our area based on some of the information that's been developed off of that website. So it's very clear in terms of what is expected in this more urban transect, is what they call it. So if you look on that particular site, you'll see that there are various levels of this this more urban style of building, which includes accessibility. That means more cross streets, bicycling, walking, signage, a lot of things there that make a difference for people when they come in and try to buy properties. This also includes references to building heights, building setbacks, side landscaping. There's a lot of things in there that you can spend some time on, so that whether you're in the real estate business or the development business or just wanting to establish a business, it really gives you a lot of good information about the general land use for this area. That doesn't mean, though, that you can't proceed until you get the proper zoning that will be adopted, by whatever project you have pursuant to the land use policy. So just remember that what we have done is we have set about some general guidelines, but we have not done anything with the zoning law. So you still have to go through the proper zoning to get whatever business you want to establish done in the correct way. So I certainly call your attention to that, because one of our primary focuses for the next year is going to be, now that we have the plan, we need to work the plan. And there are a lot of us in this operation here that will probably be spinning off into committees saying, okay, what can we do respecting a particular sector of growth? And obviously we would like to see that growth start from our front door, which is right behind us here, the intersection of I-65 and West Trinity Lane. We've already made some headway. As you can see right behind us here, we have 240 units of apartments. Bill and Sue Munson have established their new child enrichment center up the street. We have some other things that are planned all the way down to and including the Cumberland River, all the way up through the Baptist World Center. So that's why we're thinking that this next year we ought to really focus on how we can grow from that particular core, and that gives us the ability to lend a lot of pressure, if you will, to the Parks Department, to the Metro Council, to the Mayor's office, to make sure that we get Lot 1 Park and Heaton Station in the budget cycle, and something that we can all be proud of to work towards in the future. The other thing that we need to do is to make sure that we understand things that are going on in the council. And at this point in time, I would like to call on our esteemed council person to give us an update here for what's going on. DaCosta.
Good evening to all of you. You're not used to my voice sounding like this. This is one of those things that happen sometimes. I just wanted to say to all of you, I'm glad to see all of you that are here. It has been a little while since we have been here all together. There are several things that are happening within our community, and it is very, very exciting to see the movement and the traction that we have coming before us. I'm not going to be talking because it starts to hurt a little bit while talking to you. But I can say to you, I'm very excited about all the things that this organization is doing, and we look forward to moving on in a more excellent way. There are many, many pieces of this puzzle that are pulling together. We want all of this community, not just this community, but all of District 2 to move in a fashion to where we're excited about it, we're proud about where we're going and what we're doing. But I thank all of you for being here. I look forward to working with all of you. And thank you, and God bless all of you.
Matt talked about the land use policy, which is really going to affect this area tremendously, but people don't really know about it yet. And so we've had a few things that's come up, land use changes. We just bring you up to date. We just recently got an SP on the on-site environmental down the street here on Rural Baptist. They got an SP, and they just recently got a bill passed to move to White Creek Pike, which is gonna, it's gonna be a period of time, that's gonna take a while, but it's gonna really start opening up a lot of things for this area. So, kind of talk about that a little bit. You know, 3 years ago, we had over here, we had a big picnic, and a lot of you may have been here. It was back when everybody was running for office. I think the council was running, and we got a new mayor, we got a whole new bunch of councilmen, and a lot of you were there. And you know, we kind of thought that was going to be a big deal about that. That would open up a lot of eyes, let us see the skyline of Nashville downtown and all that. And the Costa got up there and spoke, and he wasn't councilman yet. And a lot of other people got up and spoke, and they talked about what a jewel we had here with this park, Lock One Park. And I was going to let Bobby talk about it tonight, because it kind of just opens up a whole new thing here. I kind of got upset because 3 years later we don't even have a picnic table. You know, so we missed 3 cycles of budgets and all like that. And but I got to thinking back on it. You know, everything was about timing, and really the timing now is good because if we get on, Karen did a nice presentation. We can pass it around. And Bobby's going to talk about it a little bit, but I think it opens up. With the, over a period of time, it's going to open up with the grease plant moving. It's going to open up. The concrete company's going to move. And the mulch company's going to move. So all this land down in here is going to be right below Katy Hill. Is all going to start coming available for development. And it's not going to happen overnight. But what this group did, we all come together and we gave a company that was been there for 35 years. And I didn't even really know what they did. You know, everybody said it was a grease plant and all. But we really found out that it's a green company. And so they wanted to move, so they moved. And the mulch company's going to move too. So it's really going to open up a lot of opportunity for us. And so, Bobby, do you want to come up and talk about the bar?
I believe I could stay right here. I think everybody can hear me. There's been no new activity since Mac and I, back in spring of the year, met with Commissioner, the Park Commissioner Owen. She was very positive about what we wanted to do. But once again, we had missed the budget deadline. I've been on this committee 2 years, and we met with Lionel Matthews, which was with Megan Barry's administration, and he was very positive. He came and met with us down there, but once again, we missed the budget deadline. So that's 2 budget deadlines. I'm going to make a recommendation tonight that there's no need of this committee continuing without the help. Mac, I want to ask you to be added to this committee, if you don't mind, since you and I met with Ms. Odom and Councilman Haynes. This thing's not going to move without him. He has direct access to the mayor's office and to the commissioner. He knows when the budget deadline is going to take place. I think he should take the lead on this. That's my recommendation.
That's good. Max,
Yeah, just to give you a slight update too, I've already talked to the councilman. He's willing to be on the committee with me. So we're going to accept that recommendation because we actually are already in discussions, at least the councilman is, on some things that are kind of laying some groundwork for this process to proceed. So we're definitely going to take up that challenge. Okay. And Yeah, last week, I didn't realize this, but last week, DaCosta actually did, have a conversation and met with Ms. Odom.
Good, very good.
All right. Anthony, you still with us? I was gonna get him to give us a report on Katy Hill. Anybody from Katy Hill here? I think it goes without saying, if you drive up and down Katy Hill, Fern Avenue, you will notice there's a lot of housing being built up there. Now, when we started up here, there were about 7 houses that were starting on Fern. Now there are about 100. So that just shows you how fast that whole area is growing. Katy Hill is doing pretty well on its own. As you notice, there's another project that's underway, not quite completed yet, right on the corner of Fern and Briley. That's scheduled actually to be finished by year end. So I was up there the other day. It looks like they're moving pretty quickly there on beginning the interior work. They're doing a lot of work on the outside, I know that. So I know that, probably if Matt were here, he'd probably be telling us that there's probably going to be some more room for development, now that we have more open land available where some of these non-conforming industrial uses were. So that's a good thing. Bill Munson's here. Bill, you want to give us an update on how things are going with leaps and bounds?
Let's see. Well, we're seeing some good progress up on Trinity. I mean, of course, we're looking for more. The good news is I'm seeing for sale signs come up that weren't there before. I'm seeing, people looking at property. We really would like to see a small grocery up on Trinity, and I know Aldi at one point was considering some spot up there. We've got there's development actually right between us and Dollar General that is proposed. Haven't seen the work done. I've been too busy mowing our lawn. We also have a really nice, no competition to Jack though, but it looks like what's going to be a nice restaurant down on the corner here, across from our old building. And it's going to take some time. I mean, people are, they're getting confidence in the area. Everybody who contributed to that Haynes Trinity plan, and the other thing that was in that plan, for those of you who didn't participate, I know a lot of you did, is preservation of so many of the neighborhoods that still, that are the character of this area. So it's not just about new high-rise or, fancy buildings or whatever, but we're going to see a lot of development down here on the interchange, and Katy Hill's been a dramatic demonstration of that. But I think, the thing I'm excited about, my view of, Trinity Lane, our whole neck of the woods, is that I wanted Nashville to look at us and want to come across the river to us, as opposed to us gazing down at Nashville and saying, oh, wouldn't I like to go down to, to that particular restaurant or go to that particular show, that there be, more things. Now we've got a plan to support that. So, yeah, things are pretty good in our neighborhood.
All right. Thank you.
Did I say anything about this? I don't think I did.
And also in the same neighborhood, we got Dean Patel, who we look upon as our hotel, motel, and merchant guru. Dean, have you got anything to report there from the hotel, motel industry here?
It's been good. We've had a good run for a good 4 or 5 years. I think it's slowed down quite a bit now. Our biggest concern is the activity that hangs around on the corner. Right there with the talking about the Exxon across the street. I think in the past 4 or 5 months we've had a lot of accidents, deaths, people just hanging around. I don't know what we can do with that. I did speak with Commander Graves and Mr. Gary. So if we can come up with a game plan to kind of clean that area up. Our biggest thing is these people that come on this corner right here, they're going to spend dollars. The restaurant that Mr. Bill was talking about, it's an actual building that we've had for about 8 years now, and we shut it down completely. It used to be high $5, it used to be a sport bar atmosphere, but it's completely renovated, gutted out to be a nice family Mexican restaurant. this area needed another restaurant. No competition with Mr. Jack whatsoever, but just gives a variety of flavors for everybody, shall we say. But whatever positive help we can get from Metro, we do our part. I know Mr. Jack has a good security company that he's used for many years. We've got 7-8 businesses, all hotel owners that we hire a security company that does rounds at nighttime. They come in at 7 o'clock at night. One of them is a sheriff's department in Sumner County. He works for the sheriff's department. So they do rounds themselves. But even then, their biggest downfall is they can hold somebody, detain them, arrest them. By the time Metro comes there, you're talking about another 45 minutes to an hour. And then, you know, with the limited resources, we gotta let them go because they just don't have the resources right now.
Now, one of the things that we will be talking about, that Officer Montgomery is going to talk about, we'll recognize him. As you know, the Metro North Precinct has been one of our great supporters here, and we always get some statistics from them that demonstrate, you know, the enforcement activity, but that doesn't deter, you know, a group of people, you know, gathering without permission on somebody's property. So I want to make sure that those of you who have property and have businesses, make sure that your trespass waiver form is not only filled out but up to date. Those have to be renewed every year. Is that right, officer? So remember, you can pick those up at Metro North, but make sure that those trespass waivers are enforced, because that way that allows the police to come on your property and get somebody off of your property without calling you in the middle of the night. At this point, I wanted to recognize Officer Montgomery from the North Precinct. He's going to talk to us about some statistics, but also entertain some questions.
Good evening, everyone. How are we doing today? All right. I am Officer Montgomery with the North Precinct Community Engagement Unit. I kind of want to talk about some points that were made before I get into the stats here. To your point about security holding or detaining people for too long before Metro can get there, there is a secondary employment unit for those of you who have a business here that does employ us to do just that. You know, we sit on different businesses, we sit on hospitals, things of that nature. But the businesses, when we do sit there, it'll be making arrests, obviously, so that if you do see someone on your property, that person goes to jail without having to call a car. Here in North Nashville, CDTail, which is going to be midnight shift, they're very, very short. They're running maybe 4 or 5 cars a night. So unfortunately, it's hard for those officers to get to every single call. You have to kind of prioritize the more important calls, you know, the life-threatening, things like that. So unfortunately, we may not be able to get to trespassing and things of that nature, but the secondary employment unit, that can be of help if that's something you think you want to do, or anyone else. To your point about the homeless camp, a lot of the homeless here in Nashville are aware, obviously, of the different homeless shelters, things of that nature. The problem is a lot of them are barred or banned from going to any of the shelters because of their behaviors. So in turn, they don't have anywhere else to go. That's the issue. The ones that are allowed to go to the homeless shelters, they're usually not the ones that are going to be walking on the street at 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. They're usually going to be at the shelter. So that's the issue, is trying to figure out what we can do with some of the homeless population that are going to be banned from these places. So I hope that kind of answers something and kind of gives you some more, possibly more questions to ask on that. Commercial burglaries are down 100% from July through August, so that's great. So we didn't have any commercial burglaries as of last month. Hopefully this month we can continue that trend. Theft from shoplifting is definitely down as well. Forcible rapes is down, and aggravated assault is down. So that's a good thing. At this time, I can try to entertain any questions you all have. Try my best to answer anything. So is there any questions or concerns? Yes, sir.
Seems like from what I hear on the news, car thefts across the city are way up. Maybe home invasions or burglaries. Are you finding this was a seasonal thing with the kids out of school, or is this organized crime moving into Nashville?
So a lot of it is going to be, to your point, that it's kids that are juveniles, usually the ones that are committing a lot of these crimes. So that is usually in the summer months, you're going to see more of those things because children are out of school, they don't have things to do, they get bored, and then they start committing crimes. Wintertime usually does not see as much crime, obviously because people are inside their house, it's cold out, and no one wants to be out committing crimes when it's cold and snowing. So that is something that you do see, so yes, sir, that's, to answer your question, that's exactly correct.
So not so much of the organized per se crime. It seems like car thefts are just off the charts, aren't they?
Well, to the point I made earlier about people leaving their car doors unlocked, you know, we do tend, as a society, tend to rely on technology, obviously. You think you have your key fob and you lock the door, you know, things like that always don't work. So what you need to do is once you use your key fob, go back and pull the door handle to make sure that it actually locked. So those are gonna be some things that you can do, obviously. It's, you know, making sure that things locked and secure before you go inside the house. You don't have a lot of car burglaries that are gonna be from them actually forcing entry. That's one thing a lot of people don't do. They'll go through parking lots, they'll pull door handles, they'll find one that's open, they'll get in, they'll get out. So they're not busting out car windows, they're not using any device to get in your cars. It's because of human error. So just make sure we continue to lock our doors.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Officer Montgomery. Okay, you know, we're gonna be wrapping it up here in a minute, but as you can see, we're kind of on the verge of, you know, a breakthrough here. You know, it's all national going, but we're not quite there yet. You know, we talk about a lot of things happening, and it's all on paper, you know, but until we, you know, make all these things happen, you know, we still gotta work hard to overcome, you know, our reputation, what we was talking about 17 years ago with Melvin earlier. But, you know, we heard some good things tonight, and, you know, like Wendy mentioned, the redevelopment zones. I think Mary was talking about the opportunity zone. It'd be great if we fill in the opportunity zone. I don't know if y'all have heard about that or not, but unfortunately we don't. Cowan Street does. But if you want to know about the opportunity zone, it's under the Trump administration on all these big tax rebates for investments. And they got it nationally. They already got the maps. And, you know, they got national there too. And it's a shame we didn't get under it. But Cowan Street did. And but we had a lot of good conversation here tonight. And I would like to recognize Wendy. Has the Haynes group got any report or any comments?
I just had a question. You guys have mentioned a couple of times about, you know, the grease plant moving, and the mulching facility and the concrete plant are still there and need to be moved out. And I guess I got a couple of questions about that. Number one, do we know where they're looking to move? And number two, correct me if I'm wrong, but the grease plant is buying a 30-acre piece of property, but will only need 6 acres. Do you know what's going in the remaining acres there?
Actually, Wendy, you know, that's they all in their planning stages and all that. Maybe our councilman could answer that better than me, but get back to Wendy's question about the 30 acres. Councilman told me that they got plans to retail and some mixed use up there as well. So stay tuned, and we'll keep you up to date as we can as we move forward. We'll be back here next month for one more meeting, which will be our last meeting for the year, and then we'll be off November and December, and who knows what may happen next year. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.